loud in this room. Hey, wow, that was really effective. Got everybody else quiet. Okay, so we don't have a whole lot of time. Do any of the groups want to talk about their photographer, their character? Go for it.
So we didn't have that many pictures. We had a picture of a hospital, from a bank, inside the garage. They're all quite dark. Got one of the bathroom too. So we did a lot of assumptions on these. So because they're actually going to like a bank, like brick and mortar, we're saying they're kind of older couple because they don't really use online banking. You don't see a lot of people going to banks anymore. In the garage, we saw a lot of like woodworking tools and some scrap wood. What looks like might be a lathe or something in there, so I'm assuming woodworking. And look out the front of the garage and see a kayak in the yard. Although that's theirs and our neighbors, so we said kayaking is still a hobby. And then the bathroom, like the towels are neatly folded. Curtains aren't really that disgusting.
So
yeah.
run us down your profile list.
Okay, so is everything? So name and age, we just kind of assign names. We said Abigail and William.
Okay. So you think it's a couple?
Yeah, we think so.
Okay.
We said 50 plus, older, occupation retired, or working at a bank or a hospital. Family situation, probably married couple, older. Country is, we actually know where the hospital is because you've been there apparently.
No, I haven't been there, but I started from scratch in
Okay,
Keene.
so Keene, New Hampshire. So we said hobbies, woodworking, yard work, and kayaking. Attitudes to technology, ambivalent, unlikely to adopt, low tech, like they like to go to brick and mortar shops. Key values, we said practicality, dream vacation, cruise, comfort, or, food and entertainment, we said Wheel of Fortune, Price is Right. And that's where as far as we got.
Okay. Did you come up with any product ideas? Okay. So there are a lot of ideas in there that aren't necessarily supported by specific observations in the photos, which is fine. I think that's part of any piece of this work.
I need to comment though, how dead on you are. That's my mom. Pretty impressive. The Price is Right and stuff. All before. You're pretty dead on.
We asked you about what
Abigail?
No, that's they sleep there. It's like a bed on a porch. It's really nice.
We thought it was open air.
Yeah, it is open air, yeah.
What do they do in open air?
They don't sleep there. We're hardy in New Hampshire.
Okay, so for those things that you didn't have a specific observation for, you couldn't point to something in the photo. Where did those come from?
Profile stereotyping.
Profile stereotyping, your own experience?
Yeah.
So
The whole lesson in stereotyping is kind of laying to what you've seen before.
stereotyping, profiling, sure. But a lot of that comes from the researcher, him or herself. And so that's something to keep in mind, that particularly if you're going somewhere that is very different than your own background, you need to make sure that you're not influencing or making too many assumptions as you go through this process of coming up of simply observing people. Try to keep it as objective as possible. How are we doing on time? Is there no clock here? Okay, we got to wrap up. So was this easy, hard?
Surprisingly easy.
Easy, hard, a little bit of both. Okay, so how do you find out if you're right? Do you think I can tell you?
Go to the source.
Go to the source. What does it mean to be right?
Design a useful product.
Bingo. So if you're looking for inspiration out of these things, it doesn't really matter whether or not what you pull out of those photos is exactly what the photographer or perfectly describes the photographer or the person you're looking at. It's more, where are you getting ideas from? And so can you identify those sticking points? What did you learn? Anything else you want to do about that? So the photos show you what people have, but it doesn't say anything about why they have it. Is that an important piece? So how do you go about getting that information? Ask, talk to them, getting their opinions, but also watch how they interact with it. And if you hear the story behind the product or behind whatever the things that you're talking about, that's an important part of it as well. International pitfalls. How many of these projects are specifically international? Yeah, pretty much all of them, right? Just kind of quickly going through this. We already talked about culture clashes, potential subjects that you have to avoid because of cultural backgrounds. Gender roles tend to play a fairly big role in a lot of cultures. Translators can be tricky. Experts are both good and bad. So we talked about the biases and the focus that your partners might have, that those companies might have from focusing on a single project for too long. Oftentimes, if you're in the field and say your client is taking you out to visit a user, and if they have to act as a translator as well, they're very tempted, because they know the subject, because they know the field, they're very tempted to answer your questions directly instead of asking the user. And being aware of that dynamic is pretty important. And then clearly more biased answers along the way.
I think experts are also often likely to take you to the representation they want you to see.
Absolutely.
You know, the perfect example.
And so the Hidden in Plain Sight talks about this as well, of going out and getting your own impressions, independent of any potential partners that might have want to influence the outcome in some way. So quick summary. Again, we're talking about inspiration. We're not talking about science. Context is key. Be aware of and try to understand all of your stakeholders. The class constraints, clearly you've got a semester to work on this. So you're going to have to get pretty creative about how to get your information. Clearly your partners is one way to go. But can you think of other ways to get information about a particular user without necessarily going through your partners? Anybody?
Hopefully follow someone around campus who has like low vision condition.
Okay, great. So we talked about talking to people locally. You suggested that one.
We were going to go to different dealers, car dealers, to see if they drive a Volkswagen because it's one of the qualities that might be desirable for the top of now to achieve that sound quality.
Okay, good.
Talk about like point of sale, like how people are buying these products. So
Mhm.
there's research online about that in terms of like the website and how it's used in their customer
Yep.
service department or something like that, or sellers, distributors of the same product here.
I would also say take advantage of this guy. He's got, wherever your projects are, he has connections that aren't necessarily your partner. And so there are other ways around if you want to talk to a particular type of user, I think you don't necessarily need to go through your partner, but you can still talk to someone in the same location, from the same cultural group. And there's, within MIT, there are lots and lots of connections that you can take advantage of there.
We have a very large Indian Students Association, and many of your projects are in India, so you can definitely take advantage of that. We've done that in our group, actually, like tested things with Indians here.
Exactly. And then lastly, just remember to be curious and don't forget to take that step back and take a slightly broader view. And thanks. Are there any questions?
Really nice job.
All right.
Great. I'm going to send out the next reading assignment. I'll email that to you. And I posted another paper on the website that I want you to read. But I'll send that to you.
Please make sure the pictures get back up to the front.